Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first of the year. This is our second semester of the year, spring 2025, and a lot of us are going back to school for spring 2025, and some of us are even graduating in May. So I want to just talk about how we're going to bring up our GPA. And one of the best ways to bring up your GPA is to review your class syllabus because the class syllabus explains what the teacher expects from us and how we can be successful in the class. This video is for college students, all college students, undergrad, grad, distant learners. So the first day of school, the first day of your class, your professor may go over your syllabus. And when that happens, we need to have some questions that we want to ask just in case the professor doesn't hit on some of these requirements. So some of these things that we think we should go over with our professor or take some of these and make them into questions. If your professor doesn't go over required books, class meeting, and such, all these things, then you need to bring up the question yourself. Okay, well, I see 5 books here. Which book are we going to really be working from? And sometimes the professor will say, "Hey, I'm just going to work from one book. You're only required to buy just one book." But then you can also take it on yourself to look at the book and look at the assignments, look at the tentative schedule and look at the assignments. So if it says read chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4 from this search book, then you say, well, I might need that book because all the assignments are aligned to this book. So make sure you do that. Second, go over your class times, especially if you have hybrid classes. Um, Ask questions about the course requirements, ask questions about extra credit because each professor is different. Someone last semester may have said, um at the end of the semester, hey, you guys want extra credit, here's some extra credit. But then there are some professors who do not get extra credit at all. So you make sure that you see if they offer extra credit. Ask that question. And how does the extra credit work? Is it in the beginning or the end of the semester? Then grading, what's their grading like? Some professors, here's some from some syllabus that I grabbed from some of the different universities in our area. Grading procedures. One professor wrote, grading assignments will be available within 7 business days. That's awesome if you can get them within 7 business days. Um, if the assignment is due on 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, grades will be available in the grade book by 11:59 the next Sunday. How awesome is that? Um, and if you have if you have a professor that can do that, that'll be awesome. Late or miss assignments, ask about that. Ask number one, we want to ask, what's your grading procedure? When would grades be in? We don't want to wait to the end of the semester and we have a lot of grades that haven't been a lot of assignments that haven't been graded, and we really don't know what our grade is. And then when we get the grade at the end, after the exam, after the final exam, and it's a C or something that we didn't like, and we're like, oh, well, what happened? Well, all of a sudden the these assignments were graded. So we want to make sure that the grades are put in the grade book in a in a timely fashion. Do that, okay? So late or miss assignments, ask the question, what do I need to do if I'm going to have a late or a miss assignment? It says notify, one professor wrote, notify the instructor before an assignment is due. That's important. Before the assignment is due. Most of the time, if the assignment is due on Sunday at 11:59 p.m., then you might not want to let her know Sunday morning or Saturday evening. You need to let them know Friday or Thursday or Friday. Don't let them know because a lot of professors do not answer emails or look at emails over the weekend. So you're going to get up not a good grade for that, right? So let's make sure that you do that. A late discussion. Those of you who have hybrid classes or online classes, discussion boards are counted 0 if you turn it in after that 11:59 on Sunday. So what usually happens with a discussion, you have a response, and that's maybe you can do that on that Friday. And then by Sunday, you should have replied to someone, at least 1 or 2 people. But if you need to do all of them to get the point, you can't just do the response and don't do the replies because you will get a 0. Make sure you do the entire discussion. For our written assignments, late submissions will result in reduction of 10% of the grade. Ask the question to the professor. Hey, when we have assignments and we turn it in late, do we get points off for each day late? Ask them how did they do that. Um, that will ensure success that we're turning in our our assignments on time. Attendance. Some professors prefer that you attend every single class, whether it's online or in person. Let's read what one professor wrote. I, however, recognize that unexpected or unavoidable situations may arise to prevent a student from attending class. In such cases, written notice should be given to me in order to avoid grade penalty. So this professor lets you know up front. If you let me know and you write it out to an email, I might not take some points off. Here's another one over here at the top. Attendance will be recorded from the first day of class, meets through the final exam. Class attendance is essential. So this professor is letting you know. So you see something like that in your syllabus, you need to ask about it and say, okay, or you need to understand that they are taking points there if you don't show up, because they wrote class attendance is essential. So ask questions if you see something like that. It is it is thus important that you regularly and punctually attend all class sessions. Note that students will lose 0.2 point per absence, which will be deducted from the attendance participation points. Also ask about participation points. What does participation mean? Does it mean I'm just here? Does it mean I need to ask a question? Does it mean I need to um, discuss something with the teacher? Um, what does participation mean? Ask a question. Here's note that it is your responsibility to monitor absences and to comply with the syllabus concerning assignments. There's another professor. This professor is on point. It's like, listen, you guys are college students. It's your responsibility to monitor your absences. Don't come up to me at the end of the semester and saying, "Hey, I got points off and I was here every day." That was your responsibility. Okay. That's what that professor is saying. Okay, here's another professor. It says tardiness to class should be avoided if you must be late into the classroom quietly and go to your seat without disrupting others. If you know that you would need to leave class early, please notify me before class. So they want you to have courtesy. They want you this professor wants you to email them right before class or email them somewhere that day, hey, I'm going to come to class, but I'm going to leave about 20 minutes late. So these are things that you may need to ask the professor just to get the semester started off great and make sure that you are going to have a successful year in that class. What do you do if we just talked about this? What do you do if you come to the end of the semester and you don't see a grade? It's been 7 days, it's been 14 days, it's been a month, and it's right before midterm and you haven't seen grades for half of your assignments. Then you need to check the syllabus for the course policy. But what we're gonna do, we're going to ask that on the first day of school. We're gonna ask that in the syllabus when the professor is um, reviewing the syllabus. But check your syllabus and course policy. Next, sometimes grading timelines are mentioned in the syllabus. Make sure you haven't overlooked that information. And the most important thing, after you look through it, and you still don't see anything about how your grades are going to be sent, and then you want to contact the instructor. Send a polite email to your instructor and express your concern and asking for an update on the grading status. That's it. Ask for an update on your grading status. Keep it professional and courtesy, and reach out to graders. What graders are, some universities have about 100 students in some of the classes, and the professor can't grade all those. So they have assigned graders. And the graders may come to class, the graders may not come to class. And the graders grade your assignments. The instructor may not even grade your assignment. And for some universities who have maybe 150 students, 200 students in a class, they might have two graders and a professor, and they divide it up. The professor gets 50 and so forth and so forth. But in some universities, the professor doesn't even grade your paper at all. So it is important to reach out to the graders. And then if that's not successful, then reach out to the instructor and say, my grader is blank, 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 whoever the name of your grader is. So in this first day of class or this first week of class, you need to get that understanding. You need to ask, do we have graders for this class? Now, if it's a really big class, then you probably do. If it's like 20 people in your class, your professor's probably grading your work. But you can still ask that question, do we have graders for a class? Who is my grader? How do you determine how are the graders assigned? Who will be my grader? What's their email address? Things like that up front. Are they attending this course with us? So you want to ask, the main question you want to ask, do we have graders? That's good. And who your grader would be. If your course has designated graders, you might want to contact them as well, and then they can provide insight on your grading or online. But if, like I said earlier, if you don't get any response from the grader, then let the professor know, and also let the professor know who your grader is. How to contact your professor. Okay, I'll say let the professor know, but how do you contact them? So each professor have a different way of how they want to be contact. And so that's something that you would like to ask. And your first week of class. Well, how do you, if look at it in the syllabus before you go asking, raising your hand and ask how you want to be contacted, because you know what the professor said, it's right there in the syllabus. Did you read the syllabus? So make sure that you look at your syllabus before you ask these questions, okay? So if look at sample one that I have from one of the universities. He gives his name, he gives a phone number, he gives his hours, his office hours, and then he said he also do by appointment. Um, Also, be careful to look at when you send an email, if it has a PhD, you want to say Dr. So-and-so, or if it has a DBH, Dr. So-and-so, or PsyD doctor, you want to address them as their title. Okay, let's do that when we're writing our emails. Where to leave the assignments, make sure that, he has Blackboard assignments link. If you have Blackboard, you have Canvas, whatever your system uses, make sure you leave it in that system and not send it to an email, because some will not grade email work. That's a question you might want to ask them. Well, where do we send it? Make sure you send it to the right place. Well, I've been turning assignments all year long. And the professor said, well, I never received them. And then you have a 0. So let's make sure you uh do that. Course correspondence. My preference is to communicate via email. If you need to speak to me in person, please visit me at, okay. So I had a professor before that wanted us to text her, and she gave us a phone number, and we text her and she texts us back. It was really easy and really quick. But so you need to look and ask, how do they want to be communicated and contact? So this one says, this professor says, communicate with me through email and also by office hours. And this professor says, I will respond to your questions within 24 hours or sooner. How awesome is that? Because I've been in classes where um I didn't receive an email till 3 days later or response to a week later. So let's do that. But also give them time to answer you. 24 hours is what this professor do. Some of them make 3 days. Give them time before you send another email. Look at this professor. She does not have any office hours. Everything is by appointment, so you have to make an appointment. So that's very important that you ask this question. If they don't go over that and on the syllabus, you go over. You ask the question, okay? How do you want to be contacted? Again, before you communicate with your professor, always look at the course syllabus. That's important. Your course syllabus is like your Bible. It is where all your information is. Look at that first. And then you want to check your announcements. If you have Blackboard, look at your announcements. I know we get announcements all day long. Those notifications keep popping up. But yeah, read them. Read them. The announcements, your emails, anything that got to do with your class or your school, open it up and read it. Go to your community forum and discussion board and ask questions. They're asking about the book too. Hey, this book is too expensive. Is there somewhere else to get it? And someone might reply, hey, it's at the library. Go get it at the library. It's online, or it's free at this website. Go to the community forum discussion board and ask questions, and stay courteous now. And sometimes people are asking the same thing you're asking. Course schedule check your course schedule for any due dates before you go communicating with your instructor. Before you start sending this email, make sure you've looked at everything. You've looked at the course syllabus, you've looked at Blackboard for the announcements, you looked in your discussion board, you check your schedule and looked at all the modules. You looked at everything before you contact the instructor. Let's do that. Now let's talk about hybrid classes, because a hybrid class is a combined in-person and online learning. And a lot of people, I've seen these students, even myself, thought that it was, when it first came out, the in-person online learning, that it was a choice. Oh, it's a choice. I can either go in person or I can either go online. No, it's both. You have to do both. When you choose a hybrid class, it is a combined class. It's both in person and online. So the requirements that you have online, you got to do those. And the requirements that you have in person, you have to do those. And you have to be present. If they say attendance is necessary, you need to be attendant for your online classes as well as your in-person classes. Okay, so let's look at Lone Star. They have class meetings. If you have a hybrid class meetings, you will attend class on campus for a portion of the course. So for a portion of the course, the exact schedule will be outlined in your syllabus. So that's, again, the syllabus is very important. The exact schedule will be outlined in your syllabus. In independent work outside of class, you will complete assignments and readings and coursework online. Sometimes your coursework online will be asynchronized and it's at your own pace in the hybrid class, or it may be synchronized. But however it is, you need to make sure that you look at your your syllabus, ask questions, send emails, do those things so that you will have success in this class. It is hybrid classes are very detailed. So make sure that you are paying attention to the details. University of St. Thomas, let's see what they say about their hybrid classes. Course designation, hybrid courses are clearly marked in course schedule. Regular interaction, you will have a regular substantive interaction with instructors and classmates, both online and in person. So it said what? Both online and in person. And when they say interaction with classmates online, that's probably talking about those discussion boards. So make sure you adhere to the discussion board and instructions. Technology use, you'll see use an e-learning platform for online components, including discussions. Oh, I just talked about that. Assignments and assessments, in-person requirements. Some courses may require in-person labs, clinical rotations, or exams. So make sure that you're looking at your schedule. If you have a hybrid class, do not think that you can do an either or thing. That's one of the things. You cannot either go to in person, or I'm gonna either go online. It's combined, and make sure you ask questions about that. Okay, to be successful, you all will be successful. We all will be successful this school year. I know it. I have a feeling about it, and you know it too. So make sure you look at that syllabus, go over it with your professor. If you have any questions, go to your discussion board, go to your and ask your professor. Have a blessed day and take care.